Talk amongst yourselves, it's fine. Is this a selfie stick in my pocket, or am I just happy to see you? Good evening, my name is Adrian Francis Huggett Laycock King Slutsky Harris. Long story. I am the world's first pre-post-postmodern surrealist realist stand-up comedian poet. And I am assuming I am the last. I don't think it's going to catch on. I also turned out to be a shaman by mistake. Good kväll allihopa. Jag bor i Sverige. Jag är mycket glad här. Is it possible, being a foreigner, to love living in Sweden and not be a nationalist? I don't know how this works out. Doesn't make sense, huh? It does work out, doesn't it? I can move here and love the country in order to integrate, but if I say I love the country when I go back home, I'm a nationalist, and that's offensive. What are we supposed to do about this? I'm going to tell you a joke that my 11-year-old son wrote. What did the bodyguards say to Trump when somebody started shooting at him? Donald, duck. I like that joke. Reminds you to think like a child. Jeez. I have notes. Oh, that was one. Oh, finally some feedback. Metaphysical claims require metaphysical evidence. When I first moved to Sweden, for the first 8 years, I thought the Vasa Museum was a museum dedicated to the history of crisp bread. Not joking, I literally believed that. This is not an exaggeration. I envisioned in my mind this huge complex with people walking around in period costumes and packets of 60s crisp bread hanging in the window. I'd go to parties and people would be like, have you been to the Vasa Museum? I'd be like, no. And they'd go, you should go, it's really big. It would get bigger. I also got you have a phrase, Phil Hall, as in wrong direction. I misheard that as Phil Hall, wrong hole. I thought it was a sexual innuendo. We do those in England all the time. I just assumed for 10 years that I was in a funnier place. It's unoriginal to grave originality. It's cliche to fight cliche. It is, unfortunately, very common to stand in front of something and say, that's in my way. Stupid to get annoyed with the stupid. It's immature to get annoyed with the immature. Getting annoyed is really annoying. I try not to do that anymore. This is so annoying. I actually had 4 pieces of paper. It's like, oh yeah, pull those out. And I can't find them. This isn't the act. It's not. Ah. Thank you. Now I can start. All that build-up, you're not going to like them. If anybody ever says to you the road to hell is paved with good intentions, ask them why they're pointing it out. No? They're trying to stop you. Surely they're intended by good, right? Icarus falls and Prometheus rises. Angels and devils come in all forms of disguises. The obligation of privilege is to communicate and make art. We've not lost our freedom to be, we've just allowed it to be colonized by what is convenient. If you don't like the sound of that, do something freely that inconveniences you. Clean your bloody rooms, you bloody children. We're on a round world. If everybody pointed up, we'd all be pointing somewhere else and never at the same thing twice. If everybody pointed down, point at the centre of the planet. We can agree on down. Up, that's our adventure. Down, it's a mutual shared agreement, I believe. I don't know if you know this, but the history of the word orientation is an old sailing term that means knowing where the Orient is. It's true. If you knew where the North Star was and the Orient was, you knew where to sail to not die of starvation. So next time you're disorientated, get your little phone out, find out where the Orient is and the North Star. At least you can locate yourself geographically and materially, metaphysically, physically, actually, not just metaphorically. That's quite an orientation package right there, if you haven't got any clues. One night, I went to bed really late, only to discover that my pillow could actually communicate. As I lay my head of lead at the head of the bed, my talking pillow actually said, "Let me be the foundation for the construction of your dreams. And I will bear the burden from and for your neck. Close your eyes, banish the moonbeams. I'll free your worries with a rain check. Allow the cloak of closed eye, minds projected dark, enforce neuron pathways for inner quests upon which you will embark. Here is your chance for those mighty mind molecules to do their sleep dance. For every trial you face, every care, I am placed, just in case, here, to be there. So, come and rest, you weary traveller, you hunter-gatherer of confusions, bring your illusions and rest, for you know it's best to accept the night of deep. I said, will you shut up, pillow, I'm trying to bloody sleep. That's not a true story. I just want to say one more thing before I run away. And I'll say it very quickly. I announce in advance. When I first moved to Sweden, just after moving here, I was working in broadcasting, and I discovered that Sweden was the first country in the world to go all broadcasting in digital in the world. And then when I moved to Sweden, I found out that Sweden was the first country in the world to go all broadband for absolutely everybody. So oh, that's interesting. World first for two reasons. Why is that? Looked into it. You're obviously very smart people. You're obviously well organised. You're obviously well financed, and you know, structured and all that kind of stuff. Then it dawned on me. You have less people than London. Without this Jantelagen, you could probably make a really good idea stick. You know, at the moment it does seem that we're at a bit of a crossroads. There is this sort of like, we seem to have come to a consensus to never come to a consensus. Something like that. And I'm trying to pave the road with good intentions. And I'm curious as to why people would want to stop me. What are they motivated by, really? Continuous disappointment is not proof of anything. You know, the word attention means, the old Latin root of the word attention has similarities in the roots with the word attendum, as in like a tendon or a tendril. When you have your attention on something, it is something you're looking at in order to anticipate how you can manipulate and facilitate and articulate perhaps a change, a possible thing that's within your power. But we have like these titans like Trump and climate change and the world economy and the food and the water risings, and all this stuff gives us a continuous feedback that we're useless. And that's not a nice feeling. We don't like that. But what you can do is you can orient yourself, which we learned earlier, children. You can orient yourself and you can find the possibility that there is a light. And I'm going to end on a very cynical joke. Yes, it's possible there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but it could be a train coming the other way. Nobody knows, but what I do know is you all prefer it when you prefer what's going on. Pay attention to that. Thank you.
En stor applåd för Eid! Då börjar vi närma oss